Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a couple of birds. This is part of a new series that we just started this year. We did Songbirds of winter, and now we're doing spring. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to chat tonight, so if you've got questions, you can ask those in chat, and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. Alrighty, I'm using a 9 by 12 inch canvas today. This is a Fredrix mixed media canvas board. Haven't done anything to it. It's just plain old white. If you wanted to, you could probably, do a background color on here. I think we're going for kind of warm yellow tones and then playing some purple against that. And some greens and things in here. Be kind of our color theme. You're going to need a large brush for the background, so grab my Filbert, this is number 10 Aspen, for some of the kind of background part. And then another couple of Filberts, or maybe a large round for the flowers. And then for the birds, I'm probably going to use like a small round, and maybe my blender, potentially my angle brush. This is a 3/8 inch angle. For some of the leaves and things like that. And then I've got a liner brush and a fan brush to do some splattering at the end. So stay tuned for splattering. So this will be a good lesson on doing flower petals and things like that, and doing bird feathers. Obviously, we'll focus on that tonight, and we'll have another code for you if you're following along our art haul this month. We're doing some prizes for people who are watching our live streams and sending in a code word. We'll tell you more about it probably when Mark's
There's already
drawing.
been winners from last week.
Yes, there were 2 winners, so check your email. Make sure it's me, though, because sometimes scammers have been targeting people that are doing giveaway, that are entering giveaways. So make sure that it's from me. And not, yeah. All right, so let's go over colors. Carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, India yellow hue, cadmium yellow light, phthalo green yellow shade, phthalo blue green shade, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple, Quinacridone Magenta, Pyrrole orange, or cadmium red light, unbleached titanium, titanium white, gloss glazing liquid. They changed the name of the Indian yellow to India yellow, so just it's the same. Both are the sames. All right, I'm going to spray on my canvas here, and we're just going to go and jump right in here. I'm not going to draw anything out right now. I know my birds are going to kind of go generally here and here. I'm probably going to try to hit the, if you kind of split the thirds here this way, I'm going to try to get the heads in as close to these thirds as I can. Probably this one will be a little higher than that corner, and then this one will be a little bit lower to it. And then we'll have some flowers in the background. I'm probably going to pull some of the flowers out here. I had a hard time finding a photo of the flowers that I wanted, so I'm going to kind of fudge the flowers a little bit, if that's even a thing. Fudge. Sounds so weird. I don't know. Just make it up,
fudge.
Kind of. So I'm going to start with some yellow here in the background. And then I'm going to add some pinks too. I didn't want just yellow back here. But I'm going to start with that because that's my lightest color. See, it's the lightest color on your palette in value. So whenever you're mixing other colors into it, you kind of really need to, I find it's easier if I start with it and then add the other colors to it, because otherwise it gets overwhelmed and it doesn't really change. So I'm going to do that really quickly, and then while that's still wet, I'm going to grab some of the unbleached titanium. I added white too. I added Indian Yellow and Cadmium Yellow Light there with white. That was the first colors there. It really doesn't matter. This is just, our background. So whatever colors you like. And then I'm adding some Unbleached Titanium and Magenta, just a little tiny bit of Magenta. I'm going to add that in to my yellow area, and then I'm going to go over the top of my yellow areas with this and just blend that in and try to get, and if you wait too long and take too long to mix this, so you may want to mix some ahead of time if you're not fast mixing your colors, because I'm just grabbing them and going. You don't want to spend too much time on this because I really want these colors to blend for me, and if I wait too long, my yellow will be dry before I get my second color on here. So just keep an eye on that. And then maybe up here we'll start to introduce some greens, and I'm not even going to worry about cleaning that out. It'll kind of gray out that green if I have a little bit of my magenta in here. So that'll be a nice color for our background green because it's not too saturated. It'll be kind of just blend out. If you have a lot of the magenta still in your brush, you may want to clean out your brush a little bit. I do want it to blend with the magenta just slightly, but I don't want it to overpower. If you have like a 50-50 mixture of the magenta and this green, it'll turn brown. So you don't want brown necessarily, or you could. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. This is your painting, so I always like, kind of neutral colors. So if I want to go a little bit more neutral, I just grab a little bit more of that magenta. And you can see how it does turn it quite brown, quite gray. And we'll just use a little bit of that in here, just in a few places. Again, this yellow is still wet back here, so it's still kind of blending with these colors as I'm adding them over it. And it's starting to get dry. I can feel like it's not wanting to mix, maybe feeling a little sticky. So I'm just going to leave that, because otherwise if I keep trying to add color, it'll start to lift off the undercolor. It's starting to do it there. So I'm going to give this to Mark and let him dry this for me. And that's first layer, doesn't have to look beautiful, so don't spend a lot of time on it. Most of it's going to get covered up. If you look, there's really only like a corner of it that's actually going to be visible once we get all of our flowers and birds and things on here. Okay, so this week's code word, if you go to the link down in the description, don't comment with this word because it's not going to enter you. You have to go to the link down in the description. There's a place to enter your name and email address so that I can contact you, because I can't contact you if you're on YouTube. It's not going to do you any good. I have no way of contacting you directly on YouTube. So this is the way we have to do our entries for any of these kind of prize things that we're doing. I'm deliberately not using the word giveaway, because that triggers the algorithm to not share my videos. So I don't want that word used. So we're just going to call it an art haul, and you guys will know what I'm talking about. This is our code word for today, springtime. So you'll enter that with your email address and name at the link down in the description. And if you don't know where the description is, if you click just below the video, there should be like something that says like learn how to paint with artist Angela Anderson and see more. And if you click on that, or just there might be just like a little arrow, click on that, it'll drop it down and you'll see the link. I'll try to have the link also posted in the comments after the video. I'll post it and pin it. So if you're rewatching, you'll see that way. Oh, I don't know why I'm showing this painting. This is what we did on Saturday. I don't know why I grabbed that, but anyhow, so you can see that. I was going to show the prizes.
Oh.
And I was talking about. So one of the prizes is a case of these, 3 of the 12 by 12 inch from Fredrix. They donated these, so I have 2 sets of those to give away. And 2 sets of 3 to 2 different winners. And then I have a big art haul from Princeton Brush. De La Roney bought Princeton Brush and Strathmore. So this is like a mega company. They own Strathmore. They own De La Roney, I think, is the parent company. My Mary is another one of their offshoots. So this is gouache from My Mary. And then you've got all of these brushes, catalyst blades, and things. So this is the other art haul. You've got the Fredrix canvas, so you can choose between it if you win. Between the art haul, brushes, brush set, this set, or the canvas set. Both great prizes. I don't know what the monetary value of it. I didn't really add it up, but it's great.
It's priceless.
Exactly.
Because you've touched it. And I've looked at it.
You'll also get some stickers. So I'll just say that. I know.
This art stuff has been touched by Angela and looked at by Mark.
I've got stickers, and I've got some new stickers that are in the other room that I'll have to have Mark go get.
Oh, where are they?
They're on top of my books.
Okay.
They're a little sticker pack.
I'm glad because they're not my books. I don't have books. If you said they're on top of your books, I'd be like, that's no such thing.
Yes, not.
No such thing.
Yeah, no such thing. No, I have a whole stack of literally this thick of art books that is on my coffee table that I'm trying to work my way through this year. I bought a bunch of them, and last year just kind of was in the mood, and I only got through. I have a bunch of art books that I already had in my studio. Most of them are about color mixing and different things. But then I bought a whole series of art books on learning perspective and different things. I don't know. There's all kinds of different ones. So, okay, so this is my new sticker pack here, and they're individual. So each one of these is like an individual little sticker. Aren't they cute? I put them on my water bottle.
And they're good
bottle.
stickers. Show them this one.
Oh, yeah.
That's been on the back of my phone for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And there's no wear on it.
Zero.
It
These
is
are
just
Sticker
amazing.
Mule stickers. I highly recommend. They're awesome. So anyhow, I don't know why
I need to put mushrooms on
I
my...
probably need to sell these, but I don't have them for sale right now. If you want me to, if you want me to send you some, make me an offer in the comments. No, I don't know. I really need to put them on Etsy, but I just buy them for me. I buy them for me when they give them a sale. Yeah, and then when I do these kind of giveaways and things, I give them out as free promotional things. So, all right, yay! All right, so we've been talking about.
Giveaways, so showing stuff. What else can we show them? Let's see. I got the cowbell over here.
Oh no, that's fine. All right, so let me zoom in. We're way zoomed out there for some reason.
Because we were off camera and that corner was off.
Oh, okay. All right, so there's our background. I think we're pretty good. Let me draw in where I want my birds, and then we'll kind of have an idea if we want to move anything around. So again, our third was here. Well, kind of like right in here. And this way, maybe I'm kind of low there. Okay, so when you split your canvas like this, you can kind of see we end up with these 4 hot spots. And generally those are good places to put, compositionally wise, just to put your things of interest, you know. So I'm going to put this bird here on this one. And I think I'm going to put this other one down a little bit lower, but sort of still in that general area. And maybe hitting both of those this way. And then we'll do some flowers. And I think I'm going to bring some flowers up over that way. And we'll have the... Okay, so let's go and draw that in a little bit better. So our bird... anatomy, you've got a little round circle for the head, you've got a little neck that attaches to this kind of egg shape like that. And honestly, you know, it depends on the pose of the bird, but you know, sometimes it's tilted this way, and you know, different ways. Their head can be tilted down too, in different ways, you know, of a range of, you know, it could be down here if it's looking down, that kind of thing. So let me clean that off just so that I have a kind of a clean area to see where I'm putting things. All right, so I made the neck too long. The head and the neck, the head and that top part are really pretty close to each other, so I need to put them butted right up against each other. Sometimes on some birds they even kind of overlap, you know, but this bird is kind of like in there, so I think that's good. This one is kind of a little straighter on the back. We'll curve it up and then have the tail coming out that way. Okay, so, and then the beak is going to come right there. All right, so there's our one bird. That seems a little small. I might make him a little bit bigger. I don't know. And then the other one, I'm going to, yeah, they're kind of small. Let me make them a little bit bigger. I was trying to hit those marks, but I think I'm not going to worry about that too much. And I'm just going to make them fit that canvas a little bit better.
Don't hit Mark.
Something in there. Okay. And then legs are kind of split, and there's a branch right here coming down with flowers. Okay, and then this one is on that branch too, and he's kind of in here. And those kind of basic shapes. So, and the beak always goes down into the face. It's not like on the edge of the face. So you want to make sure when you do your beaks that they go in like him. You know, it's going to go into the face there. Go around and down. I think that's good. That feels nice. That one is hitting pretty much right on that third. This one's hitting low on the third here and just barely missing it over here. So I think that's good. And then, like I said, I might do some flowers kind of coming off this way just to kind of fill the space a little bit better. I don't know. Something like that. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and jump in here with do some leaves and branches. So let's go ahead and do our branches, and that way we'll know kind of where generally things are going to sit. I'm just going to use kind of some spring branches. Often are kind of reddish, so I'm going to use the burnt sienna. A little bit of unbleached titanium, and we'll probably not see much of these, but I do want them in here just so that in case a little bit of it's showing, it makes sense. So let's do kind of a line down there, and just doing some like little bits where the leaves might be coming off, just so that it has some. Okay, I think that looks good. We can always add more later. This is just to give us a general starting place. I'm going to get my green, phthalo green, and I'm going to add burnt umber and a little bit of the purple. This will just be kind of our dark areas of my green Then I'll get some more and add some yellow oxide over here, and maybe a little bit of white. I didn't clean out my brush, so it still had some of that purpley color in it. I'll just have like a brighter green there. And then for a mid-tone green, we'll add again some yellow. And then maybe some burnt sienna. Just want a neutralizing color. Otherwise, these colors just look way too vibrant. Oftentimes, colors in nature have a little bit of a desaturation. I mean, springtime you can get away with pretty bright, vibrant colors because those leaves come out pretty bright sometimes. So I'm not adding a ton of the burnt sienna. I'm just adding a little tiny touch of it. All right, I'm gonna wet down those paints, and just gonna go ahead and put in a few leaves. I'm gonna make another kind of dark-ish, but not as dark tone there, and do some leaves here coming off. And I'm gonna just make some random marks here, dabbing my brush. I'm using the angle brush, and that's already got a kind of almost a leafy shape to it. So when I use it, I'm gonna get naturally kind of bladed type brush strokes. And then I'll come back in and sort of put some more deliberate brush strokes in, maybe over the top of some of this. But we're going to put flowers and things here, so I'm just trying to add some areas of interest. I'm using a little bit of the lighter color now. And again, I'll be adding flowers and things over this, but these greens will kind of show up underneath. Ooh, you're getting side cam action. This is our new camera that we just got. So we're still trying to figure out exactly the best way of using it.
Well, we bought it, we got all excited, and then it sat here for a couple of months because
Right.
we were too scared to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So we got brave this past week, and here we go.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be really good for you if you're doing
Vlogging outside in the garden and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Little live streams out in the garden.
Yep. For sure. All right, so I was thinking my initial thought was lilacs maybe. It might be a little bit too fussy. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and start with that in mind and do some clusters with some purple. Now this is going to look really dark at first, but we'll add our lighter colors on top. This is magenta and Quinacridone Magenta and Dioxazine Purple. That's what I used here. And I'm just going to go right off the canvas on top and kind of off on that side. That looks pretty good. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and just have him kind of sitting on one here. We'll do a third one that's kind of coming down this way. And I'm just really kind of using this brush to sort of shape out those lilac, kind of have those kind of cone, almost cone shape blossoms that cluster together, which are, you know, multiple flowers that are all clustered together. They remind me of a hydrangea in that way a little bit. I think that'll be good. And then I did have some white flowers also over here, but I'm not sure. I might just do kind of a lighter lavender color just to have another third color, or another color flowers, but maybe not white. I don't know, we'll see. And then we'll use this in here. So I am literally just setting my brush down and turning it as I'm going, and this is, I'm just continually kind of moving it. Sometimes I'm flicking it a little bit. I'm looking at the shape of the flower and just trying to capture that movement in my brush strokes. This is very personalized, so yours is not going to look like mine. If I did this again, mine wouldn't look like mine either. So you just, you have to kind of just go with what your brush is doing at the time, how you've loaded it. Don't get too fussy with it when you're doing this kind of loosely styled flowers, right? We'll add a little bit of detail to these, but I'm going to keep them pretty loose. I don't want to we're not trying for ultra realism tonight. We don't have time for that. If we were doing a 5-hour painting, maybe we would go in here and individually shadow and highlight each flower petal. But when you got something like this, you just kind of have to try to capture the essence of what you're seeing, the general color and shape. So I think we're getting it fairly close there. I'm using lighter white and lighter purple now. So I started with the dark and then added a mid-tone, and now I'm kind of adding my lightest purple in a few places. I'll probably add a few over the bird once I do the bird, but he's not fully in there yet, so I'm not gonna do that quite yet. And this one over here, maybe I'll use a little bit more purple, maybe even add a little bit of blue to it, and use I like that. Maybe this one has got a little shadowing happening going off the canvas there. The blue will make it look like it's in shadows. The lighter ones, the more warm we get with the flowers. So I'm going to add some of that blue down here, like maybe the bottom of that flower is not in the sunlight fully. And I definitely want to break up this shape a little bit too. I feel like it got a little too put together there. All right, that looks better. And this one is really kind of much looser, just in general, which I like. And then we'll put some. But what I was saying is the more warm we get, so the more of this, the warmest color in our palette would be this bright red orange. So, and I've really laid my colors out sort of in the order, rainbow order, basically. So it kind of flips. So it goes from this orange all the way back to this yellow. So these two are on the warm side. If you wanted to, some people put their palettes with the warm colors and the cool colors separated. I tend to put my yellows with my neutrals just because sometimes I'll put a yellow oxide here and it just makes sense for me to do it this way. But you can set up your palette however makes sense for you. But anyhow, what I'm saying is as you get away from the coolest color is going to be your cyan. So this phthalo blue is kind of the closest to cyan. So purple is closer to it than going closer to our orange. The colors are going to get warmer, and the warmer colors are going to look closer to us when you've got it up against a cooler color like this ultramarine blue that's right next to the cyan. So shadow, sunlight, right? Just by using these colors on the same flower, even if they're the same value, the ones that are more of this magenta color are going to look brighter in this, more like they're getting sunlight. So think about where our light's coming from, and then maybe, hit some of these up that are on the top of the flower, and on this side. I did some blue there, but it's fine. We can still have shadows. It just maybe put a highlight over the top of it a little bit, and then get some of that purple and do the purple down here. Cooler color. Okay. Just using these colors to tell a story without having to do too much work. And I might go a little bit darker with my colors. I kind of went pretty dark up there. We'll see. I don't know. And I might bring out some leaves or something into this empty space here. So I do like that green that we did in the background, though. It looks nice behind all of this. And also that neutral gray green too, because it's not competing with these brighter greens on top of them. So if you're going to be changing your color, think about having your more desaturated, loose colors in your distance in the background. More blurry and less saturated in the distant areas of your painting. If you put anything really bright over here, it's going to come forward and attract attention. All right, so I'm going to get some white. I'm going to get a color that's close in value to this yellow. So not to see how it's soft. It's not going to be like in your face. I'm just going to kind of break up that area with a few little leafy bits, and I'm not even going to, I don't think, attach them to anything. I'm just going to kind of act like they're sort of blurry in the back, and maybe we're not seeing. And we can put if it bothers you, you can put a stem to them too, but it'll just look like there's something going on back there. And we can kind of blur them out too somewhat. If we want, I could get some yellow green and add it, maybe a little bit more white there, and add some of that also. And now that's pretty saturated, so that could start pulling the eye forward because that yellow green is warmer than that blue green that I was just using. So watch out for that. You don't want it too bright. I'm going to add just little bits of different things back here just to kind of give the background a little bit more interest around our birds. And then let's go ahead and start painting in our birds. So we're only half an hour in. We've already got our flowers pretty well based in. Not too bad. I'm trying to get it. All right, I think I'm going to get my blender here. We'll see. And I kind of did paint around my birds, but be careful of that because I don't want to end up with a halo around them too much where, you've got like a space separating out around them, which I kind of do. I may have to add some petals either on top or closer to them once I get them on here. We'll see. And also want to make sure that my background is dark enough that this yellow bird especially can be seen up against it. So I think that's going to look okay. I'm adding a little bit of white to my yellow because I always find that yellow just needs a little bit of white when you first put it on. I don't think I'm going to use this brush. It feels a little too stiff. Maybe I'll go back to my angle brush for now. These are American goldfinches here. We have these coming around this time of year. They kind of migrate through. They don't stay all year long in this area, but man, they come en masse. And they will decimate our feeders like for a few days. They are crazy. They've got the cutest little chirp of any birds, I think. They literally go tweet like tweet. Like, there'll just be hundreds of them doing that out there. So cute. Okay, adding a little bit of burnt umber to it just to darken up under there. Gonna gray it out. You have a question, you said?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Let's say I got a picture of a couple of the females this morning, but I'm not sure if they're the finches or not.
Oh. Yeah, we have house finches out there right now too. They built a nest, but then they abandoned it. I don't know what happened.
Oh, the one on the door?
Yeah, they haven't been back. I was chasing them off for a couple of days, and then I gave up. I was like, fine. Like, I took down one of their nests that they had started. It wasn't, like, complete with eggs or anything, you know. Just like they had just started it, but they were tearing apart my wreath. And it was either last year or the year before, they nested in that wreath, and then I was like, oh, it's so cute, it's gonna be adorable. There were cute little babies, yeah. And then there was a mountain of poo left over on my literally a mountain of poo.
Not very good tenants.
No, they did not clean up after themselves, and they made a mess of my door. Was a mess. Yeah. Exactly. So I was like, I do not want to have to clean that up again. But yeah, I kind of gave up, and I was letting them do their thing, and then they haven't come back. So they may have found a better spot. I hope. These weren't goldfinches. These were house finches, which have a red head and a kind of a gray or brown body.
Are those goldfinches?
These are gold. What? No.
Okay.
Those look a pretty shot, though. That's a really pretty shot, huh?
They got the
I don't know what those are. Yeah, those are interesting. Not really sure what birds those are. I need to paint that. It's pretty.
Everybody with kung fu fighting.
Are they fighting?
One flew up and scared the other. And I'm like, hey, this is my feeder.
Yeah, I got video of what are those Orioles doing that one year when we had them come through. We haven't had them come through like that in a couple of years, so I don't know. They kind of changed their migration route or what, but they sorry, I'm just adding my color here. I'm kind of darken up here, a little bit dark under the wing, dark under the body. The darker color is just that burnt umber added to that yellow. So there's that. Yeah, so I got the Orioles fighting on video. They were really cute. The one was just like, he had his wings straight out and he was defending the orange. And he was like, come at me, bro. Like, he kept puffing out his chest and, like, had his wings straight out and was just like, yeah, come on, try it. It was really funny. They have a lot of attitude.
Somebody said warbler.
Warbler, okay.
Warbler.
Nice. That sounds right.
Maybe I need to go get my books.
Yeah.
I wish we could show the bird books.
I wish we could too. I know. We got the boys. Our two oldest boys are now homeowners, and they have started. They're like, I get it with the birds. Like, they've started, leaving out seeds and enjoying bird watching somewhat. And so we got them very inappropriate bird books that have.
The bleeping.
The bleeping bleeper and the things. Yeah, but it looks like a regular book, but it's like the wrong names, and it's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. They loved it. We've got a warped family. Sorry. All right.
We crack ourselves up.
We did. We were in the store laughing at those books. I'm sure people were like, what
What are they doing?
are they doing over there? And Mark and I are just giggling like school kids. Like, oh gosh, we got to get this. All right, so I'm making a gray for our tufted titmouse, gray tufted titmouse here. I've painted one of these before a few years ago. I did a series of 6 canvases. I don't know if you've seen that. I may have had a goldfinch in that too. I did have the I had a cedar waxwing, a bluebird, a tufted titmouse, a blue jay. I'm trying to think of what else I had in there. Oh, there was a red bird, red and black bird. I can't remember the name. And there was a 6th one. I want to say it was a yellow bird, but I can't remember. It's been too many years. That's sad. When I painted so much, I don't remember what I
should go on
painted.
your website and put in birds.
There you go. Yeah, go on your website. My website. All right. So I'm going to get some white here. And you can't really tell when you're mixing a color like this, like what the undertone is until you add white to it. So I can see there that it's a little too green. Probably shouldn't have added burnt sienna. Burnt sienna will make phthalo blue green. It makes a teal color. Don't ask me why. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the ultramarine blue and try to get it down to a kind of a neutral blue. And you could probably just add black to it, honestly. That might be easier to add black, mix these two together. And I never mix, though, up here. You notice I always am grabbing the color and putting it on my palette over here. Because if you mix into this area, then you can't have that color again. It's gone. So I always grab a little bit of it from the side and then mix it down here. It just makes it easier to use. All right, let me think. I want to get the shape right in this too, so I'm kind of looking at that as I'm painting this, because my drawing is not always exactly what I'm going to end up with. So I want this to go almost straight up at an angle. It curves down just a little bit where it goes into the beak, and then it rounds out just a little bit at the back of the head. I'm going to leave this area for the white to go. And then the shoulder is like right in here. So there's a little bit of the color coming around. Shoulder. And tail. And the tail is generally the length of the tail to the rump, where it attaches, where the base is, not where the wing overlaps, because the wing overlaps down here sometimes, but where this part of the body comes in. So that to the tip of the tail is usually from the top of the shoulder to that same spot here. So generally, so you can see kind of like right here is what I'm talking about, like their tail, and then to the top of the wing to the shoulder. So sometimes you'll get doing this and end up with a tail that's either too long or too short, and not really know exactly why it looks weird until you kind of measure that. So if you kind of know that going in, you can kind of check for that. Make sure you didn't get your tail don't want your tail too long.
So you painted a Western tanager. That's yellow with a red
Ah,
face.
that's the one. That's the one, Western Tanager. And then what's the other one, Bullfinch?
Yeah, there's a bullfinch.
Bullfinch, that's the red one. Okay.
Cedar waxwing, blue jays.
Anyhow, it's a cute little canvas
The
set.
bullfinch has this other one. The black head, red chested.
Yeah, that's a Bullfinch. Yeah, that's the one I was trying to remember, the black and red one. All right, and then the bottom here has some of this yellow gray. I don't think it's as yellow as in the picture. I think they've edited it, so I'm going to add a little bit of blue to it because I don't remember ours having we have a lot of these birds at our feeders. They're very noisy, and they don't like people at anywhere near. So if we're sitting out there, they're making a racket, yelling at us the whole time.
Make a cheeky sound.
Yeah, they make a really kind of shrill sound, like it's not pleasant to the ear at all. They're not like the goldfinches that don't
Drive it
care.
away.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of us, so.
But we do have bluebirds that are nesting.
Yes, we're real excited
That's
about
right
that.
there
All
next
right,
on the
so I'm
house.
using this light color. This is pretty close to the background color, so what I'm going to have to figure out how to make that work because that may not show up very well. So I'm going to probably have to darken up that value of it or something. But yeah, we've got bluebirds right up on a shelf right next to the front back porch. We literally put the bird house up there just to store it. We have a little storage rack, and we're thinking the Carolina wren would use it because
Yeah.
they nested up there before.
They nested in the pots.
Yeah, they
extra.
nested in
planter
our
pots we
plat.
had.
Yeah, they're
we
so
thought,
cute.
Well, we'll put the birdhouse up there for them.
Right, so they'll have a proper place to put their nests, and then the bluebirds
Bluebirds said, hey,
moved in.
a new house in the neighborhood.
I know. Like, this works for us.
Hmm.
Nice. Now that we don't have a cat anymore, we don't have to worry about them. Our cat Oliver figured out how to lure them out of their nest.
Mm-hmm.
And lost a lot of
Yes.
mated pairs for a while there. It
Yeah.
was very sad. We finally had to take that box back. We put it in the garage, so it's been in storage for years, and we finally pulled it out. Anyhow, all right. I'm talking about birds and not actually explaining what I'm painting there, but
Birds.
all right. So just did a kind of a whitish. You can see it kind of mixed with this green, this color, and this was the shadow color on this bird that I used down here. So that's the same color there. And these were kind of wet as I'm doing it, so I'm just kind of blending as I go to kind of get those colors to merge. But I think down here I'm just going to have to go a little bit darker with the undertones down here, just so that you can see it against that background. But before I do anything else, I'm just going to wipe off my chalk marks because I've got a lot of chalk everywhere, and I don't need it anymore because I've got my everything kind of pretty much painted in where I want it. If you want to, you can draw back in the beaks at this point, because sometimes, you can see I've moved some of the bird from where I originally drew it, so sometimes you just have to redraw the beaks back in if you need to. I'm going to try to wing it, no pun intended. We'll see.
All puns intended.
All puns intended. Okay. I'm going to get some of my orange and some unbleached titanium. And then that color is a little too saturated. It's like pretty in your face bright. So I'm going to get a little bit of that yellow or India yellow. Don't know why they changed the name, but okay. And then we'll put in the beak. So the beak on this, and I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber or burnt sienna over here and have kind of a darker color so that I have a little bit of room to work. So you're going to make a V shape, and it's going to be pretty high on the head. There's not very much of this as it's coming around. It doesn't go down very far before you see that beak. So it's kind of making a little V shape right there. And then you're going to come down. Zoom in maybe, honey. And then this comes down just a little bit outside the head. And this is the top beak, so about halfway there. You can see that's the top part of the beak. And then the bottom part of the beak is curving back up like that. And I'm going to use a little bit darker color here, maybe get a little bit of the orange and burnt sienna, a little bit darker, and make that split and fill that in a little bit darker. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and put a highlight on there, but I'm going kind of a little bit dark on it to start. And I'm going to tap in a little bit of dark right there. It's not like a straight line here, so it kind of does a little bit of a triangle right there too, like a little bit of a diamond shape, but not much over here. And I think I brought that out just a little bit more than it needs to be. I think it curves in a little bit more right here, like that. Okay, and that's pretty much our beak. Again, I'll put a little highlight on the top of it, but it's that one. And I'm going to get some cadmium yellow light. I got some Indian yellow. Get some of those. Maybe go a little bit lighter than what I had already. Try to, and just sort of put in some light color at the top of our bird there. It's not showing up too much against that background there, so I maybe need to make my background a little bit darker, or make my bird a little bit brighter or darker. You just have to, you know, have a little bit of a contrast if you want things to show up. So something like that. Sorry, my dog is barking at something out there.
Somebody's walking on the streets.
How dare they? It's probably a dog. The way his bark sounds, it sounds like it's his dog bark. Going really bright. These are really neon bright birds, so you can go pretty bright on these. Like when they're in the springtime, they are really bright. Okay. And then let's go ahead and put the eye in, because they look a little funky right now without an eye. So I'm going to get black. Hope you guys are doing well. I didn't even say hi, I just jumped right in. Hope everybody's doing well. Say hi in chat, leave a comment after the video. Subscribe if you're new. Please, we do our live streams every Tuesday. Hi, Fitzies. Hi, I know, I heard you. You were being very good defending us. Thank you. All right, so the eye is actually set kind of back because the bird's head is tilted towards us somewhat. So it's not quite, it's about halfway from the beak to here. So if we find that spot, it's kind of right in here. And then it's just above the split in the beak. So if I continue that line of the beak back, the eye is setting just on top of it a little bit. So somewhere in there. Yeah, that looks about right. And then I'm going to go ahead and do his also. So his eye is, we've got this dark bit around the beak. I didn't do the beak yet. Let's go ahead and get some of that blue from the back, this color, and I'm adding it to this black, and we'll use that for this beak. And their beak is very thin compared to this one. So just very little bit, kind of like that. Wipe that out, go back for the black. And then it's got some black that comes down here, and this black sort of comes up over. And then there's a white spot, which we did there. And then again, this one, if you kind of find that split of the beak, their split is kind of coming down this way, but that eye is set just slightly forward. Right in there somewhere, maybe. I think. Let's see. All right, so let me get my yellow, and I'm gonna mix that with this black and take most of it off, so I just have a little bit, and I'm just gonna tap it towards my beak. Here, there's a kind of a dark area, and I kind of darken up around the eye just a little bit, and coming back just slightly, and it kind of curves down towards the back of the head. Okay, so that's that eye, and then I'm gonna do some of this underneath here a little bit darker, maybe just a little bit. Okay, and then there's a line right here where the head feathers come down, like that neck. That's where the pivot is for the neck. And then we've got these wing feathers starting and coming back. So I'm just going to use the same color. I find with birds, especially a lot of things in nature, flowers, birds, and things, like you'll have a certain set of colors that makes up the individual, whatever it is. And they're mixed together in different ways to do the rest of the hues on the body. It's really weird how it works. So you might have a yellow and then a black or another color or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if this color shows up somewhere in the body too. Like I see a little bit of it in the wings. It's like the same colors get just all mashed up and used in different ways on whatever creature, flower, or plant. I saw a thing from National Geographic yesterday about how they're adding fungi to flora and fauna. So it's flora, fauna, and fungi now that's being protected. Not just flora and fauna, because you can't have the fungi without the other two. I thought that was interesting. I like nerdy stuff like that. Sorry. I'm going to grab some of this burnt umber and some of that kind of color. That was the dark color on the beak. Burnt umber, and I'm going to kind of use it at the base of the tail here, and this will just kind of help that be visible. And then let's go ahead and use this reddish color for the legs. And one is kind of, so you've got this kind of dip right here that happens, and then right below that is sort of this leg here coming out, and we're not really seeing the feet. And then not too far away, so like right in here somewhere, we're seeing this leg. and it's coming forward. And all we need to do really is just kind of do a few little like lines like that, and we're good. So like that, and that is good enough for a foot. You'll be proud of me. I put the foot in this time, honey.
Good job, babe.
I didn't forget. Getting the white there, attaching that to the body there, and oop. Okay. Getting some of that yellow, and just whenever you have two colors overlapping, a lot of times there'll be a little bit of a mixture of the two. So you can go in and, you know, mix a little bit of the yellow with the white or whatever and have that. I think that looks pretty good though. Good enough. And let me get a little bit more of this yellow and see if I can get just some feathery marks. I'm just going to kind of put my, think about what direction the feathers, what direction you see those feathers in, and kind of tap those in that direction. Just some little rounded brush strokes. I'm going to bring this head out just a little bit more right here. A little bit more rounded right there. And we'll put in these feathers coming down on the wing. And then I'm going to get my white. And do some white. Just tapping little dots. And there is a diagonal that goes kind of in this direction along that back. I'm seeing. Okay. And then there's some feathers coming down. Okay, then let me get the burnt umber. And I'm kind of blending through some of these other colors so I have more than one color on here on my brush. You can see it's kind of a mashup of that light color and the darker color. Sort of all blended, not over blended. So you'd get that by kind of just pulling quickly through puddles of colors you've already mixed, and then now I have a brush that's kind of loaded, and as I turn it I can get kind of some different colors. Well, black's the only thing coming off of it right now. I say you can get other colors, but as I do this though, ideally I'll get other colors coming off. I probably got a little too much black there. There we go. And that way, it's kind of just a shortcut to not have to add too many colors at once to your, or to, you know, have to do too many layers. You just kind of do them all at once and you're good. Right, very light there. Just a few little light touches. Let me get a little bit more of that black and do the back feather there, black, and then I need to do some lighter color feathers on top. So I'm going to get some of that beak color, that burnt sienna color that had a little bit of that orange in it, and mix some of that burnt umber with it, whatever. Maybe a little bit of unbleached titanium because it's kind of not showing up. I had a lot of black there. There we go. So I'm going to put that white back in because I just kind of did it sort of as a drawing to map out where I was going to put these feathers. So it's not, it's kind of lifting off as I'm painting.
So it'll be
covering
white
it.
back.
What?
Never mind. It's a bad corny joke.
Okay. At least you edited yourself. You knew. You're like, I didn't need to do that one.
Yeah. But it'll be white back.
White back?
The
Oh,
white on the
gosh.
back will be
Okay.
white back.
White back. Okay.
I'm reaching, but it was, not as bad as some.
No, not as bad as some.
Not as good as others.
No. All right, adding the burnt umber, burnt sienna together, and I'm gonna darken up the split in this beak just a little bit. Give him a little cheeky smile. Cute. And I need to let these wings dry because they've got a lot of layers, and they're not gonna do a whole lot for me. But I will get my white and try to put my white back in. There's your joke there, hon. The white's coming back in.
Got a little smirk.
Streak it through. Yeah, he does. He's got a little cheeky grin. I like it. And then we'll put a highlight. So this is my beak color. This was the lightest color on the top of the beak. So I'm going to add some yellow and some white. I always like to add yellow when I am mixing a red or an orange with a lighter color. So adding white to either of those colors, because then it'll look brighter. If you don't, it looks like kind of chalky and dull. So the yellow brightens it back up and makes that orange really pretty. Or red, you know, makes your light red look bright instead of look like pink. All right, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wipe my brush out now, and I'm gonna attack that bottom corner of it and just blend that out a little bit. Maybe even get a little bit of that original color and tap that back in there. But you can see that I left that dark line right there. And I might do just a slight little bit of highlight right there. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do with that beak. And he's pretty much done. The only thing I have left is that little eye. So let's get some white and a little bit of our blue. We can grab that blue from our bird over here. And some glaze. So I just want a light blue that's kind of translucent, and I'm going to just do a little highlight just over, leaving a little bit of a black line. So just coming in just a little bit right there, and then I'm going to get my white, the thickest white, right on the very tip of that brush, and I'm very, very lightly going to just barely touch. There we go. Just a tiny little highlight. But that little bit of that translucent color gives it a little sparkle too. So I'm not seeing a ton of color underneath, but you can kind of highlight that. I also kind of sometimes like to do just a little bit of a color on the lid there between the black and the, you know, make sure you have a full circle there. Just follow that circle of the outer line, and just a little tiny highlight right there also kind of often looks really nice. So let's do the same thing to this guy. Let's zoom in really good so we've got a good line on what we're doing. I'll grab that same color that we were using before, that kind of light blue with the white, and we'll put it just on the inner eye right there, just at the top. And then the tiniest little dot of white on the tip of my brush. And you want the thick white for this. You don't want it thinned out. And then I did mine kind of on that side, so but maybe we'll do it on this side. Well, maybe right there. Yeah, it looks like he's kind of looking at him. And then let's maybe go back and get some of that translucent color and use it to create a little bit of a lid situation right there. Right, and then I want to gray out the separation between that black and the white. So I'm going to get my white and just create a gray with this blue here, and just tap around that black and just kind of, this isn't very dark. This will help kind of bridge the transition between that black and the rest of it. And if you do too much, you can go back in with a little bit more black. Like I kind of feel like I kind of covered up a little too much of it just right there. Just can kind of come back in and maybe go a little bit darker. Do a little bit of kind of a light gray, a dark gray, I mean, right there. And then let's go ahead and do the highlight on the beak, which with this color too. So this is the same white with this blue and black. And we'll use it to highlight the top of the beak. Right there. It's a little dark or a little bit, you know, too much contrasty. So I'm going to get a little bit of a darker blue. Just come in here and just attack that one little bit right there and maybe right up underneath. And then where this attaches, there's just some kind of like gray feathers that go into the white. So I'm going to kind of tap in there and let that kind of blend out just a little bit. And then I'm going to put some white back in, but I didn't have any gray there, so it looked all flat. So if I put that gray in, now I can come back in with my white. And I can add my white little bits in that area, and I've got a little bit of gray there that just kind of looks really nice. And brighten up around the eye, okay? And that's about all I'm going to do. Whoa, it's having a hard time focusing tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, when it's zoomed in like that, it tries to get under your hand.
Oh, it tries to follow my hand. Okay. So, coming down, I'm just going to kind of follow this line of the body and add some feathery brush strokes in the direction that I'm seeing the feathers grow. And let's go ahead and go on top of the head here. I'm going to get some of that blue, add some white to it. So now I've got another value, like a little bit lighter value. We can add some highlights to this up here. Remember, our light's coming from this direction, so I'm trying to think about what would be getting hit by light, and this would definitely be lighter. And I think I'm going to round this out. You can see how it's kind of coming in a little bit right here and here. I think I'm going to round that out just a little bit. Bring that out. Okay, and any of these brush strokes that I put over the top of this darker color, if I just make them a little directional and kind of put them in facing the direction that I'm seeing those feathers grow. I'm going to get some white here and do the same thing with the white over. And I can get some really nice, and these are all just like little overlapping brush strokes. There's not a ton of work being done here. The brush is doing all the work for us. We're just getting some really nice overlapping of colors here just by tapping these brush strokes in the direction that we're seeing them going. And I'm going to put a little highlight on the top of the beak there. And he's pretty much, his face is pretty much done. So let's go ahead and do some details on the wings and the bottom of the body. I feel like he's a little bit long here, and we've got an area. Let's go zoom back out now, hon. I'm gonna get some yellow. And some white. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber. I'm just going to mark this. Right there, so we can see that. And then I'm going to use this kind of, I think I'm going to use some burnt umber and add it to that blue and just have kind of a darkish gray yellow color. Use that under here and go a little bit, that's really pretty much the color we used before, but I'm just going to go a little bit darker. That way you can see it a little bit better against that background. Okay. I feel like I got the body a little bit too long on him. I don't know, does he seem a little long to you? They're not very big birds. I feel like it should have tapered in a little bit more. And I'm kind of doing it off the picture that I see, but I feel like...
Let me switch back to this view and see. I think the flowers just need to be maybe a little bit more
brought up
into his chest a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Just up here, kind of up over.
Yeah,
right here.
in the picture, it seems like it's covering his chest.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I'm just worried about the size
of
him. You think it's fine?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think yours is more upright.
Yeah, that's
So
true. I did change the pose a little bit.
The back isn't as flat, so I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. That may be it.
We'll go with that.
Ooh, that dried. All right, let me get more of my dark blue here. And get some blues. I'm just going to add a little bit of black to them. There's just a dark line from overlapping the tail a little bit all the way up. And it really kind of almost splits the body in half. Not quite, but it's right in there. And it sort of points to the beak, so I think we got it. I'm going to get a little bit of that color and thin out. My paint was going a little bit broken, so I just need to add water to it. So that's what I just did, is I added water to the paint in my brush so that I can get these thinner brush strokes here. Get some of the little overlapping feathers that I'm seeing, and then there's kind of sort of about halfway from this to here, there's like a break in the feathers, that like another line of smaller feathers that overlaps right there. And then maybe just put a few lines in there. They're really not a blue bird, so I'm kind of making them a little bit more blue than what they are. I could gray them out a little bit more by adding some brown to that blue. So if you want yours to be a little bit more correct, a little bit more gray, you can add a little bit more burnt umber to this blue. I'm doing that here on the back just so that it's not quite so blue. It almost looks like a blue jay right now to me, just because of the coloring. I'm kind of toning down the color just a little bit. Okay, getting some white. Add some, come on. Mixing that in. So this is kind of a light blue-gray here. And just add some of that. There's not a lot of pattern to this. They're pretty much just gray all over here, but there's a little, a little bit of a shading. So I'm just kind of trying to get that a feel for that shading that I'm seeing. And maybe put some of this color down here too. Blue-gray just at the base in the shadow area. All right, I think we're good. Yeah, I kind of made him, he's got a little chunky monkey. Got a little belly. He's all right. He's been eating.
At the feeder.
He's been at the feeder, yes. All right, but I think we're good. And I like how this guy's kind of turned towards us. Like, what are you looking at? What you looking at? What's up? All right, I'm gonna get some more of this purple, and I'm just gonna put some flowers over the top of this guy and kind of get the magenta and purple and the white here, and just put in some blossoms, and there we go. All right, and now we can go in and put in our more details to those flowers. So I'm going to get a little bit of ultramarine blue with my white here, and I'm going to kind of come in and maybe more ultramarine. That was very light. There we go. Put in another layer of flowers that is gonna define these shapes a little bit, and I'm pressing down into the side to get these shapes. So setting my brush down and kind of twisting it toward the middle a little bit. If I set it straight down on its tip, it'll kind of round out the outer tip of the flower. But you're going to have these flowers kind of pointing in different directions too. So think about that. They're overlapping each other. They're not all going to be fully out and seeing all 5 petals straight. So some of them are turned to the side, and the ones that are turned to the side, you're seeing this kind of a shape, like a line at one side of it and things. So kind of change the shapes of your petals as you move around your flower a little bit. Maybe make some of these that, you know, maybe some of them are just like a little dot on the side, or they're coming straight at you. Really study each individual flower in your pictures and see what shapes you're actually seeing. Sometimes it can be hard to see, but if you kind of just focus in on one particular part of the flower instead of the whole flower cluster, it can be easier to see some of those shapes that you're trying to mimic. Okay. And don't really have to highlight all of these. I'm just kind of trying to think about which ones are on top, which ones might be catching the light, and just make sure I've got some clusters that are giving our flowers, or our, the flowers some form here. That's looking really nice. I think I'm liking this. It's amazing how just, we did probably, the 2 or 3 layers, darkest, mid-tones, and then cool and warm tones. So pink and blue tones. We did a dark purple, and then a mid-tone purple, and then blues and pinks, and now we're doing whites. And they're not fully white, but they're pretty light. This is our lightest tone. This is going to really attract attention, so we want to use it sparingly and make sure we're getting our shapes right now. Before, I wasn't really worried about my shapes too much because I knew we were going to be doing this over the top, and this kind of cleans up any of those shapes that look weird. So just kind of pay attention now to each individual flower and make sure that we've got some individual flowers that are kind of popping out into the light here, and leave plenty of the darker other colors in the background. We don't have to resolve every flower into a, every petal into a flower shape. There's plenty of this, and if you look at your cluster of flowers, there's a lot of open space. It's just nothing happening. So let's put one here. Let's say there's one right here. Maybe another one right here. And then they're butting up against each other, so they're crowding each other too for space. So some of them are half formed because they're getting overlapped by other flowers. I leave some of my greens too, and we'll go back in and add some green leaves here and there. And I think that's pretty close to what I want. Okay. You can see we only have like 1, 2, 3 actual leaf, shapes. The rest is kind of just suggested shapes of leaves, and that's okay. I'm going to get a little bit more of this now. We've got kind of an idea of where we're going to have our bird live. I'm going to maybe do some actual, more resolved leaf shapes here and there, just by pressing my brush down and kind of pulling. All right, and then let's go ahead and get some white, and remember, we want to add yellow when we're adding white to greens as well. And let's go ahead and kind of add a little highlight on some of these leaves. Those are still wet, so. And then we can go back in and kind of just dab in some leaves back over in my flowers if I need them. All right, that looks good. I'm happy with that. And then let's do the center of our flowers. So the lilac don't really have a color, or like yellow, some flowers you'll see like little yellow bits. The lilac kind of do a little diamond shape, so they kind of just have this little cross that you're seeing. So I'm just going to dab in a little bit of darker color in some areas to finish off these flowers. Go ahead and put some in your dark areas too, even though they haven't been highlighted. Some of these dark areas will have flowers too that need little centers, and that's about all I'm going to do, I think. Now, if it looks a little too fussy, or, those circle, those little centers look a little too rounded, you can come back in. I don't think it would hurt anything. I don't know. kind of push them around a little bit, add a little bit of lighter color around them. They kind of, just to blend them in a little bit. Because right now they just look like little dots. So just kind of adding a little bit of my like mid-tone color around to sort of blend them in, integrate them into my flowers just a little bit, because right now they're pretty dark and you've got the lighter color right up next to them, and so this is kind of that mid-tone purple. It's just mixing my white with that color that I just used, and just gonna, that's really softening them off and looking a lot better to me. It just looked a little too pasted on. So if this was another kind of flower, like, or if we were doing like cherry blossoms, I would be adding yellow little dots to those centers too, but I don't think we need to do that. I think we're good as is. And then let's go ahead and splatter and we'll be done, I think.
Ooh.
Pretty happy with how these guys look. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call that good. An hour and a half, not too bad.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Now, let's go ahead and use this dark purpley color for our splattery bits. Might add a little bit of blue to it. Maybe a little bit of white so it's not so dark. Okay. Right, so I'm going to cover over my bird here and just, ooh, I just didn't realize my flowers were so wet, so I just picked up some color on my flowers there. Hopefully nothing too bad. You can see right there I kind of took off a little color. There we go. And then if you get any on your birds where you don't want them, you can just take a damp paper towel and just kind of dab off. So that's the only thing. I got a little bit by their face. I don't like to have the splatters on the face of the birds. Just makes it look weird. All right, there we go. That's it. We are done. Ooh, super chat. Excellent.
Super chat. Man, you're just rolling. I gotta squeeze in there somehow.
I know. I'm gonna sign it here with my white pen while you're doing that. I decided I like this uni one best.
So tonight's super chat was from our friend Cindy. She says,
Aw, thank you,
"Spring has
Cindy.
sprung. How's the garden coming?"
It's coming along. I've got poppies coming up from last year, and I have my salvia and my some of my echinaceas all coming up. My purple coneflowers and the snapdragons also came up, which I was really surprised because we had a cold winter. So the salvia and the snapdragons, they've come back from the plant from last year. So yeah, and my phlox is starting to come up, and then I seeded out some poppies and some larkspur in the back bed, but then we got a heavy rain, and I think most of them got washed away.
Into one area.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if those will come up really good for me. But and then we've got our tomato starts already in the garage. They're getting,
Yeah,
you know.
we got lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, peas, green beans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll do a garden tour. Maybe this later on this spring. I did that a couple of years ago on Instagram. So if you go way back in my Instagram, I don't even know if it's in the reels or where it would be saved, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more of a light. Just notice I don't like these flowers down here that much, so I'm gonna add. And again, like these are very simplified. They're not going to be super detailed. We don't have time for that. So, you know, if you want super detailed, you can come back in here with your brush and kind of look and see where all of the highlights are on an individual flowers and put in, you know, some more careful, like, you know, outlining of certain petals and things like that to really draw out the details in these flowers to make them look more realistic. But with something like this where I'm trying to get it done in an hour and a half, there's just not time to do a ton of details. So I do have, right, and I do, yeah, the realistic stuff I kind of do more on my Patreon videos. So this one was the $5 level Patreon video that we did on Saturday. I did want to add the little whiskers to him too. I forgot to add my whiskers to my bunny, but and then the $10 level is doing animals of the world. So this is the 5th installment. So this month we're doing animals of Australia. This month and last. We'll have one more week to finish it. We're almost done. But we do once a week on Thursdays. We'll get together and paint on something for several weeks in a row until we're done with it. So it's like an hour to hour and a half, or to 2 hours sometimes, on Thursdays. And it's nice because we have time to tackle bigger projects like this that take 10, 15 hours, and do them together. So this one is the Asia. That was the first one we did. And then the second one we did was the animals of South America. And then it's fully in my lap right now. So I'm trying to, you can zoom out a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, I know. So Asia, South America, then we did Africa and North America. And each time we do it, we put it in a setting that's kind of localized, put flowers and animals that are native to that continent, a region of the world. It's really fun. So we actually saw a bald eagle. Mark got video of a bald eagle snatching roadkill off the road the other day. It's on my Facebook if you want to see it, down in the description. So also need to mention down in the description, any of the materials that I use, I have links to Blick and Amazon, and on those I have lists of all the stuff that I use. So if you're looking for a particular thing that I'm using, usually you'll be able to find it in one of those two places. And that helps support our channel too. We get a small portion. Doesn't cost you anything more, but by us sending you there and using our links, we get a little bit of a donation.
A referral.
Yeah, a referral fee. There we go.
And so, and to also say that the Patreon, you're not doing just the animal series. You do other ones in between. So
right.
There's other tutorials. If you go to thethankfulart.com, you can check out all of the videos that she's done, either on YouTube or Patreon. You can see which ones are
right
for each section. So
right. Yeah. And
I'll zoom in. Maybe.
There we go. There's today's finished painting. I think I like how it turned out. You can see the difference though between this area here, where I didn't do the darker tones, in this one. I feel like I like this one better because it just looks like it's more well-rounded. You know, the darker in between gives it a little bit more depth. This one's lacking that darker tones, so it doesn't have as much depth, which is fine. It works still, but I think I do like this one better, and that's kind of why I start with those darker usually. I don't know why I didn't do darker here, but I think because we had white in the picture and I was trying to keep it lighter, but I don't think we needed to. So anyhow, all right. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for checking this out. Be sure to check out part 1 of this, which was the winter version. I don't think I have it out here. I was going to show it. Oh, yeah, I do. Here it is. Here it is. This was Songbirds of Winter. So, and then now spring. So we've got both. And then we'll do one for summer, and we'll do one for autumn too, and we'll be finished up with this series this year. But I really like this series. It's been really fun. I love painting birds, so I hope you guys liked them too, and thank you for watching. And we'll see you next week. We're working on a rooster. We're going to do a really fun, loose style floral on a rooster. It's going to be super fun. And be sure, if you want to enter that giveaway that we're running this month, to go down in the description, the link to the code word is springtime for today's giveaways. We have two winners this week, and then next week we'll have 3 winners, and we'll have a new code for next week. So each week we're having winners for the prizes, and if you want to see those, it was earlier in the video. You can go back and rewind to see that. So, all right, thank you. I mean it this time. We're going. Bye. Thanks for watching.